Hi everybody, so I've been playing through The Wind Waker recently, and I have to say I am just so taken with how wonderful this game is. It's got it all. Bright, gorgeous visuals, tons of exploration, secrets, lore, great dungeons, and of course, wonderful music. The Wind Waker's soundtrack is so good, especially if you play in the HD version, which replaces many of the MIDI tracks with a proper orchestra. It sounds great. Now, for the unacquainted, Wind Waker is a sequel to Ocarina of Time. Its story and gameplay mechanics are all built off of the N64 classic in all of the best ways, while still introducing some great new ideas. That wonderful soundtrack follows suit. Sometimes it's subtle, but in nearly every area of the Wind Waker's Great Sea is some type of musical reference to a past Zelda game. So today I thought we'd take a look at some of those. I'll be going in somewhat chronological order, as I just wrote these down in the order that I encountered them while playing the game. Here are a bunch of musical references or Easter eggs in the Wind Waker. Just a side note before we get started, we're just covering the first half of the game today. Also, there's some really obvious ones that I'm just not going to bother mentioning. For example, the file select screen and Great Fairy Fountain music, or Zelda's Lullaby, since those aren't so much references, just songs used in the proper context. I'm sure many of these are obvious or well known as well, so don't hate me. I just wrote them all down as I encountered them. But maybe some of you will learn something new. So let's hop into it, starting from the beginning of the game. The game opens on Outset Island, Link's hometown. It's a small, peaceful village. The music here is actually a remixed version of the Kokiri Forest theme from Ocarina of Time. While from a lore standpoint, these two locations hold no connection, from a gameplay standpoint, they are both peaceful starter areas for our hero, so it makes sense to make that connection to retain that feeling. As we venture out to save our sister, we'll end up making our way through the Forsaken Fortress, only to be captured by the giant bird known as the Helmorock King. During this cutscene, he will hold Link up in front of Ganondorf and wait for instruction before tossing Link into the sea. During this moment, a familiar tune plays. It's not Ganondorf's main theme like you'd expect, but instead a slowed down version of the Ganondorf battle theme from Ocarina of Time. The next island that we shore up on is Windfall Island, a bustling merchant town. It has a very pleasant atmosphere. It took me literally years to notice this, but Windfall Island's theme is actually a faster paced and more energetic version of the classic Kakariko village theme, which makes sense as the two settlements may share their origins. Both are close to Death Mountain / Dragon Roost Island, and both are important towns that feature windmills. While probably not the exact same location, functionally, they do serve the same purpose in the context of the story and gameplay. And moving on to the game's next area, while looking for the 3 goddess pearls, we'll find the first one after clearing Dragon Roost Cavern. This lava-filled dungeon shares many connections to the fire-themed dungeons of Ocarina of Time, including its music, which is incredibly similar to the theme of Dodongo's Cavern, albeit with some added drums. At the end of each dungeon, after defeating the boss, we'll find these portals that warp us outside. Now, I'm not so sure that this is a reference so much as a recycled audio bit, but the sound the warp portals make is actually the same effect used heavily in Majora's Mask during the Final Hours theme song, which is just plain eerie. Heading south, we'll find the Forest Haven, which holds a few references for us. The island's exterior has this more upbeat tune, which is another rendition of the Kokiri Forest theme. Meanwhile, inside, we'll find this more subdued version of the song, which actually mixes the Kokiri Forest theme with the Lost Woods theme, also known as Saria's song. Our next stop is adjacent to the Forest Haven, the Forbidden Woods. While holding a more sad theme song, they still managed to slip one little reference in there. This short melody is actually the same tune as the title screen from Ocarina of Time. Which itself is actually the recorder tune from the very original Legend of Zelda. Double reference. If we make our way back to Windfall, now with the actual Wind Waker instrument, we can learn the Song of Passing. Now this one is pretty well known, but both in its melody and function, the Song of Passing is just the Sun Song, or at least its first 3 notes. And of course, much slower. And while on the topic of the Sun Song, while this isn't unique to Wind Waker, because lots of Zelda games actually include this, but built into the Great Sea theme, we can hear the Sun Song play at the very beginning of the tune, when the sun rises, and it turns from night to day. Not only is this a callback to the Sun Song itself, but also the Hyrule Field theme from Ocarina of Time and Termina Field theme in Majora's Mask, which both do the same thing, starting the day out with that short, pleasant jingle. Dotted around the map of the Wind Waker are many secret caves and hidden areas. In many of them play this tune, which is referred to as Sacred Shrine in the game's files. This Sacred Shrine theme is not identical, but very similar to the song that plays inside the Great Deku Tree in Ocarina of Time. While looking for the third Goddess Pearl, we'll have to sail our way across the sea through the night, which is permanently stormy and cursed to always be night by Ganondorf, until we obtain the pearl from Jabun. During this night, the music gets clever. The usual Great Sea theme is remixed with a more sinister tone and combined with Ganondorf's theme song, to give this race against time a dark and urgent feel. It's one of my favorite moments in the game just for how sinister it all feels. When we meet the water spirit Jabun, we'll only see him for a short time while he has this exchange with the King of Red Lions. But Jabun still gets his own theme song. It's kind of dark and mysterious and holds a secret. This theme song is shared with another water spirit, Jabu Jabu, but given a new instrumentation. The theme song for Inside Jabu Jabu's Belly in Ocarina of Time is meant to sound sort of organic, with the beat of the song resembling a heartbeat and these sounds as if his stomach is churning. Obviously, we don't actually go inside Jabun in this game, so this meeting is themed with a more sacred and ominous feeling instead, with choir voices added. But that distinct heartbeat is still present, giving the song an uneasy feeling nonetheless. After conquering the Tower of the Gods, we'll be presented with this portal, which takes us down below the sea to the buried kingdom of Hyrule, frozen in time. During this point, the music is almost inaudible, but it holds a reference still, being a distorted version of the Hyrule Castle theme of A Link to the Past. This same reference is far more apparent when time unfreezes and the castle comes to life. This version of the castle theme is far less bombastic and grand as the one from A Link to the Past, instead opting for a more somber tone, reflecting the castle's ruined state perfectly. Our next stop takes us on a return trip to the Forsaken Fortress, where we'll encounter one of my favorite mid-bosses in the series, Phantom Ganon. Apart from being visually awesome and fun to battle, Phantom Ganon's theme song is an absolute bop. Beyond that though, it holds 3 references in this one song. When Phantom Ganon first appears, this jingle plays. Which is the same theme as when Ganon first appears before you in the very original Legend of Zelda on the NES. The song then kicks into a far more energetic section. This is actually a remix of the Ganon battle theme from A Link to the Past. Then the track moves into this more dramatic section, which calls back to the Ganondorf battle from Ocarina of Time. Phantom Ganon is just such a cool mid-boss in this game, and it's amazing how Koji Kondo managed to fit callbacks to not 1, not 2, but 3 previous battles against the Prince of Darkness in one track. And our very last reference we'll be taking a look at today comes at this moment, back in Hyrule Castle, when the two fragments of the Triforce of Wisdom are combined back into one, a familiar tune plays. This tune is actually the same one as the title screen of A Link to the Past, in which we see the three pieces of the Triforce coming together. And that's where we'll stop for now. As I continue through the game, I'll continue making notes on the musical Easter eggs that our pal Koji Kondo has left behind for us. Wind Waker's soundtrack is done masterfully, and it's easy to see that effort with all of these thoughtful callbacks placed throughout it. If you enjoyed this video, I'd really like to know, so make sure to comment below, or even do something as simple as leaving a like. These numbers actually tell me quite a lot in YouTube's analytics, and I want to make sure that I'm going to make content that you guys like, so feedback is always appreciated. Thank you again all for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye bye! Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to subscribe and stay tuned for when the next one comes out. Just want to take a quick moment to say thank you to the lovely people who supported me on Patreon. In particular, those who supported at the cheese tier or higher, which includes Tetra, Brenda, Callie, Justin, and Finley. Thank you so much, you guys, for the support, and I will catch you all next time. Bye bye!